I want you to watch this video for two reasons. One is because this video will help you navigate the waters and reaching out to coaches. Let's face it, all of us aren't being recruited coming out of high school or out of junior college or whatever situation that you're in previously to going to college. So you're going to need someone that's going to knock on those doors. You're going to need some people that's going to send out those emails. You're going to need somebody that's going to champion you in a way that opens up some opportunities for you. What better person to do that than you? You're going to have some type of self-motivation or initiative to go out there and get it. All right? And sending out emails can be the first step of you doing that. The emails have to be sharp. They have to be professional. They have to be to the point, concise, all that stuff. And this video is going to help you do that. Secondly, you need to watch this video because it's going to help you to reach out to your professors in a way that's going to make you look good as well. You need to make sure that in those conversations that you're just as sharp, that you're just as concise, that you're just as direct as when you were when you're reaching out to coaches. Both of these situations are equally as important. The way that you can communicate yourself via email, not being in a room, will help you beyond what you can even imagine. And I want to make sure that I give you some guidelines of how you can do that. Just some tips. And today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how you can do that.
Hoop loud, you.
Yes, indeed, Big Brother Bill here to give you all that you want and what you need. I put out information every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday trying to help student athletes be most impactful both in their sport and out of it. My apologies, I missed the last Wednesday, but I got a Friday morning, so this is my Friday post. If you've been rocking with me for a while, this video shouldn't be a surprise to you. You know, I started this channel back in 2015, 2016 because I wanted to be able to provide student athletes with some information that wasn't just about how high you can jump or how many times you can dribble between your legs. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that you're impactful both in your sport and out of it. And this video today, talking about how to email your professors primarily and coaches, will help you beyond dribbling between your legs. If you have any other questions, put them in the comments below. My comments are not filled up like they need to be as far as videos that I know I can bring value to. Sometimes I just need you guys to help me as far as what topics I need to cover. Emails in college is the university's form of text messaging, but it's not text messaging. I know that sounds confusing, so I'll say it again. Emails in college is the university's form of text messaging, but it's not text messaging, and I don't want you to confuse it with that. All right, so that'll be the overarching theme for many of my points that I'm going to hit today. It's going to make sense as we go along. All right, so number one, the first thing you have to realize is just what I just said. It is not text messaging. So that means no emojis, no slang, no one-line emails. You know, some of you know that I work at a university, and it blows my mind how people will send me an email and it just has one line. It'll say something like, "Hey, are you able to talk?" Or "Can I ask you a question?" Period. Send. They send that to me. You're wasting my time sending me that email. You might as well just ask me the question. This is not text message. This is an email. You want to make sure that it is representing you to the best of your ability, and that is not the best use of your time or my time. Get to the point. What do you want to email me? What are your questions that you have? Right? So another thing, as far as it's not a text message, you want to make sure that you abstain from using any type of slang. This is spelled T-H-I-S, not D-I-S. Right? You want to make sure that it represents you in a positive light. If someone was to read this, if this was a court document, and they were to read your text message aloud, would you be ashamed? Would you be embarrassed if they were to read that? If the answer is yes, then do not send that. That's not what you want. Number 2, my second tip is this. A lot of students fall into the gap in thinking that it's a text message, again, and they think that they're going to get an immediate response. You're not going to get an immediate response. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you know the person read it. I know they read it. I can see I put a red receipt. They read it. That don't mean they need to respond right then and there. They don't have to. Think about it. For every professor you have in a semester, you may have, what, 5 to 7 different professors in a semester? For every one professor you have, typically a college professor will have 300, depending upon the university, of course, but typically they'll have 300 to 400 different students. All that to say this, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. So to think that they have to get to your email because you sent the email out, it's crazy. That's crazy. So get out the mindset of thinking that you're the only one sending out emails. Give it time. It's not immediate. You may send that email on Tuesday and not get a response back until Thursday. Maybe not even until the next Tuesday. And that's fine. The same thing is to be said as far as when you reach out to coaches. They have tons of individuals sending out film and reaching out to coaches trying to get opportunities. You think you're the only person that want to go to college? You think you're the only person that want to jump on opportunities? You're not. So don't think that just because you sent some footage out or reached out to a coach that they're going to respond immediately. They have a lot more student athletes that want the same position that you want. Number 3, I want you to check your tone. Is your email as loud as my videos? If they are, we want to dial that back a little bit. We want to dial that back a little bit. Some of you are writing full, getting angry and writing full messages in all caps. I was there in class today. And you marked me absent. What? Right? So we want to make sure that we're not sending emails with caps. Don't use all caps. Do not do that. That's bad. Okay? That's horrible. And don't be using exclamation points. I know some of y'all get excited like me. Hey, doctor, da, 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 da. Listen, don't use exclamation points. Ever. Ever. I know you're a high energy person. I know you're super excited about sending emails, but do not use exclamation points, because here's the thing: when you press send, you are not going to be able to catch it on that side and explain this to the person that you're sending it to. Right? You don't know, this person may have a bad day. You don't know what's going on their end. And when they read this and your stuff is in all caps with exclamation points, that may have them feeling a certain type of way. And we don't want that. And I know some of you may say, well, Bell, this is how they send messages to me. 2 wrongs don't make a right. We're not worried about that. Don't trip on that, all right? My 4th thing I would like to say is, it's not really a tip as it is a task for you to do, okay? And that is, save all your emails. The great thing about emails is you can use it as a reference point moving forward. So when a professor says, I didn't get an email, you have this already in your inbox of when you've actually sent those things out. That's important. So it keeps your thoughts organized, and it keeps an archive of everything you did send out. Right? So if there's any confusion moving forward, you can make sure you have that. That's very important. And it's good practice for you to do that as you get an adult, right? Because as you become adult, as you graduate and things like that, having things in writing is an asset. That's something that's actually going to be able to help you out in the long run. But if you always go after, well, I told you, we had this conversation. Remember, I was standing here, I was wearing this Hoop Loudy shirt, then you were standing there, you had this on, that's not gonna hold up. You need to have physical or electronic written format of this happening. And number 5, and probably the most important tip, is this. Written communication is cool. And I understand that sometimes it's unavoidable, like these situations right now. I work at a college university, there's no students on our campus right now. But everything is done remotely. So there's still classes in session. Many of the classes are done by Zoom and different web portals and Blackboard and Moodle and all these other things, right? And they're using email to communicate to teachers. It's okay to email, but it's not better than actually meeting with the person in person. So send an email out, that's fine, but follow up in person, all right? Because of many of the things I just went over. Sometimes wires get crossed, sometimes communication gets dropped, sometimes you think he said this or he meant this, or she said that and it meant this, or they take you out of context because you done wrote the whole message in all caps with extra exclamation points. And you're asking doggone rhetorical questions. It sounds like you're being sarcastic, right? You can't control the tone sometimes and how they receive the message. All these things are variables. So what I'm telling you is, if you can, try to meet with them in person. Try to meet with them during their office hours. Try to do that as often as you can, as needed. Now, as far as college coaches is concerned, I understand that that is not the case. You just can't fly around the country and meet with these coaches one-on-one and say, hey, I want to talk to you about you recruit me for your school. I get that. And that's why it's even more important of why you're intentional, why you're professional, concise, direct as far as your communication as it relates to email. And if you don't do that, you will cancel yourself out. Here's a bonus tip. Have someone else read your message before you send it. Have someone else read your message before you send it. Because hopefully they can catch some of the grammatical errors, spelling, punctuation, things that may need to be capitalized, things that don't need to be capitalized. All these things, hopefully they can be a net. And the more, here's a good rule of thumb. The more important the email is, the more people you should have reread it. Because when you send out something in response to something important that maybe be able to damage your grade, like say for instance you're getting in trouble. Let's say they dropped you from a class. Let's say they dropped you from a class because they said you were absent X amount of times, yada yada yada. That can get you upset. Okay? That can affect your scholarship, that can affect your eligibility, that can affect a lot of things. So you're going to be emotionally charged because you're human. If you're going to send out an email that brings you to be emotional, you need to make sure you have someone else read it before you send it. And the more emotional you are, the more people you need to have eyes on that to read it. Because you don't want to misrepresent yourself in that time of being upset. It's okay to be upset, but you don't want to misrepresent yourself in that process. So make sure that everything as far as grammar, as far as spelling, as far as punctuation, all those things are considered when you have someone else reread it. Have someone, not someone like your friend, like maybe have a professor, maybe having an adult, I know you're all young adults, but maybe having someone that's more seasoned about sending those emails out, read it to make sure all your T's are crossed and all your I's are dotted and so on and so forth. You want to make sure you add this to your repertoire, add this to your tool belt, and if you have any other questions, put them in the comments below. My comments are not filled up like they need to be as far as videos that I know I can bring value to. Sometimes I just need you guys to help me as far as what topics I need to cover. So as always, whether it's on the court or off, in the classroom or out, graduate at the top of your class. Hoopla.
Hoop loud.